They're training dragons now. Can the captain's quarters contain this catastrophe? Find out this week on the Hapless Heroes.
Boris is gonna get bored and play dress up in Quinn's closet.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Hapless Heroes podcast. I'm Francesco, and tonight I'll be your host and DM for this wacky adventure. With me, as always, is a wonderful cast of characters. I have the fabulous, the illustrious, the one and only Lord Jarrell the Light, played by John.
Now, do we put all the rum or all the explosives in his room?
Phil as Hedrick the Entertainer.
I'm feeling good about this.
Nicole as Boris the Butcher.
Oh, I'm sure I have something shaped like Captain Quinn's key around here somewhere.
Mike as Lord and Captain Quinn Southwind.
Here, far, wherever you are.
And Dave as Zero, Valen's Avatar of War.
Just make sure there's a path between the rum and the gunpowder so he can get to his bed. Can't completely box him out.
Yeah, so speaking of all of that, last week you guys were trying to figure out how the hell to deal with these dragons you have aboard while you make the 3-day journey back to Ardwall to figure out what's going on over there and defend the city, as you seem to be doing a lot of these days. You guys have some new companions with you in the form of 2 baby white dragons that are about, a foot and a half long that you guys are trying to desperately figure out how to train. Zero has the mug of the boss tuned specifically to being the world's best dragon handler. And Quinn is busy doing his crazy sea magic on the ship, and he's not necessarily noticing the plan that is hatching right now when it comes to dealing with these hatchlings. So when we left off, you guys were talking about taking everything out of the storeroom at the front of the ship, which I believe that's the bow, isn't it?
Yes.
Right? And the stern is the back?
Yes.
That's what I thought. Okay, cool. So
if you ever need to know the difference between port and starboard, port and left both have 4 letters.
What's between a stern and an aft?
It's more or less the same thing.
Excellent.
Stern is the direction, aft is the part of the boat.
Okay. Well, at the bow of the ship, there's a storage room that has a whole bunch of different barrels and crates in there filled with what appear, probably different liquids like rum and whatnot, as well as gunpowder for the cannons that are on the ship. And that storage room actually has a set of stairs that also descends downward into a larger storage area for the ship. In addition to that, in the back, you guys is the captain's quarters underneath the helm, where you guys are talking about potentially moving a bunch of stuff into to protect it? ? From the dragons. Like I'm trying to follow the logic here, because you're essentially saying that all these barrels full of rum and gunpowder will at least be a barrier between the dragons and the hull of the ship. Which I guess I see the point, but at the same time, I'm questioning your decision making, but I'm going to allow you to make whatever decisions you see fit as to how you feel like you're going to handle dealing with these dragons.
I'll just explain from Boris's perspective. This has nothing to do with safety and entirely to do with making enough space to try to fly the dragons.
We need to shelter the dragons from some of this wind whilst they come into their own as fully fledged flying dragons. So getting this gunpowder and rum out of the way might be in our best interests, if for no other reason than using the most volatile materials on the ship as a barrier between any two things is probably a recipe for disaster.
Yeah,
I say
Jarrell would.
this as someone who's from a country whose primary export is explosions and whose secondary export is intentional explosions.
Right. To add on to that, I would like to emphasize I believe it's important that we keep as few amount of the crew in contact or even within sight of these creatures, if only for their sake, so they don't resort to instinctive natures and feel outnumbered, you know? I believe we should figure out who is the best qualified for the position, and any decisions pertaining to said creatures can then be enacted by said qualified figures. If you catch
Zero
me.
drinks from his mug slowly.
Right. Yeah. No, I don't think we have any choice in who is most qualified. Whether or not that's accurate is completely in the air right now. But
And Hans, for some reason, seems to also be automatically qualified, whether he likes it or not.
well, he's not
No,
qualified to make the
Hans is-
decisions.
Yeah,
No.
Hans is imprinted, which makes him actually qualified, but that's not what we're talking about.
He's literally at our disposal and whim. Wherever we want the dragons to go, he is being dragged to that area, and the dragons just follow him.
I just have an artifact that allows me to Michael Scott it my way into a situation.
Right.
Yeah, and I mean, you're doing this for free, so I guess you are spending entirely too much time volunteering. It says that. It says that
Oh, yes.
you feel compelled to sing every time you bathe, which you don't have to do. You spend too much time volunteering, and you are at disadvantage every time you try to operate a vehicle, especially if you are trying to avoid hitting pedestrians. That's what it says.
Yep.
Thankfully, you're not doing any of the dangerous parts of that at all, so you're fine.
Yeah. I just get to be the well-intentioned idiot.
And volunteer for dragon training.
Yes. I volunteer to be the world's foremost authority on dragon training, whether I am or not.
Now, the dragons themselves, yeah, while they are mainly, sort of imprinted or sticking close to and crawling all over Hans, Jarrell has made some strides in at least not getting them to try to bite his fingers or, breathe on him. And Boris had fed one a part of a bubblegum cigar that it summarily did not enjoy very much at all.
We've never really followed up on whether they liked cake or not, though.
We did not. They did not eat the cake.
That is how I expected that to go, yes.
But right now, you're still on the deck of the ship. You're looking into a storeroom, and then you're eyeing Quinn's captain's quarters. Like, what's the plan here? What are we doing?
I mean, Boris has decided this is a good decision and goes and tries to open Quinn's door.
It is locked.
Boris pulls out a
Yes, it
lockpicking
is.
kit, starts working away at the door.
Yeah, I guess you would make short work of that with your minimum 23 roll that you could do on that. But why don't you just go ahead and humor me and roll me a Thieves' Tools check?
33?
Yeah, you definitely unlock his door. It swings open. Quinn, for us, describe what the captain's quarters in here looks like. Now, it was already obviously furnished prior to you acting as the captain on this ship, but I'm sure you've already done a couple things to make it feel like more like home. So what does your captain quarters on this ship look like?
If you all weren't sick of purple, it's just decked out in like drapery, just purple drapery everywhere. You see his bedpost is, the canopy over his bed is just draped in like purple, like I'm trying to think of the material. It's like see-through, but it's just like
yeah.
yeah, it's like draping over the canopy. and it's just like there's purple lilac petals all over the bed, and then there's a like a Bunsen burner type thing, boiling water with flower petals inside of it. So the aroma in the room is also quite alluring.
And you can see that this burner thing is actually set on like a free moving stand, so that as the ship rocks, it always remains steady, straight.
Is that lilac?
And I'm actually now curious on what crewmate's job it is to lay petals over the captain's bed at some point during the day to make sure that that's what he comes back to, because Quinn didn't do that himself. That's a question that will remain unanswered for now, but I just...
Or maybe he did to make it look like he has people that does that for him.
That's true. I guess we'll never know. I just have a hard time believing that you would do that yourself.
Yeah, I also agree with that.
Are you do you have like clothes like strewn about in here? Is it like neat, or is it a little unkempt?
No, I would say it's fairly neat. I would say the only thing that seems maybe a little out of place is his hat. He is not wearing his hat currently. It is kind of sitting on his bed, kind of like half on, half off.
Oh, well, I mean, covering half the bed.
Yeah, I was gonna say the head is gigantic. Yeah, it's gigantic.
When I say it's hanging over the bed, it's really just because it's too big.
It's hanging across the bed. Yeah.
Yeah.
So Boris, having swung the door open, noticing Captain Quinn's giant hat just right there, right in front of her, definitely puts that hat on before strolling back across to start rolling barrels.
All right, you're gonna have to fight to hold the hat on your head, as it was fitted for Quinn and not for Boris.
What exactly does this hat look like?
It's purple. It has like black. I'm sorry. I know I've already described this, so I feel like this is not. It's going to be bad because I don't think I wrote it down. But basically, it's just this gigantic. Like you just see like the brim of it just kind of covers over your head because it's just so large.
There's a gigantic feather, right?
Oh yeah. There's that big purple feather right in the middle of it. Yep.
So have you ever seen like one of those like admirals like bicorns, right? They're like it's just that, but like
pointy on both sides.
Yes,
okay, yeah,
just massive,
but huge. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Boris definitely puts this on.
Like it is comically large.
So I'm also wondering how much it weighs because Boris is very small.
Oh, it's very top heavy. As far as it's on.
Yeah.
Yeah, so if it's comically large on Quinn, it's got to look like she's portaging a people.
Like, she's got to be holding it. Like, there's no way.
Yeah, holding, like, one arm up on each side with, like, a fist around the brim on the left and the right, like, clamping it down.
All right, well, at least you're holding it down. Because this... I mean, I guess in case of emergency, this hat could be used as a flotation device.
After putting the hat on, Boris immediately turns around and confidently strolls back onto that windy deck.
Quinn, does this hat happen to have any sort of strap on it, or does it just sit on your brim?
She's holding it though, like with.
I would say he's probably more fashionable than a strap. I would say that there's probably like some sort of like pinning device,
like bobby
inside.
pin situation.
Yeah, that connects to his hair because he's got long hair. So I feel like it would really like he would have like a clasp or something.
You fucking bobby pin your hat to your head.
Yeah, because you don't want to. No, there's no strap or chin device. Like that would look horrid. He knows better than that.
But that's like the military style, It's got like like these. Not every hat, obviously, but like you got to keep it on your head somehow.
Bobby pins.
Bobby pins it is. Okay. Well, I mean, okay, so the hat is not... I'm not going to say it's snug, Boris. It's not snug. It's top heavy, and you're kind of like... you're tipping your head back and forth as it's kind of like, it's kind of sets your center of gravity to your face, essentially. So your head is now acting as like your balancing device as you're trying to like move your neck, back and forth to just like keep yourself standing upright and not, smacking either the front or back of this hat on the ground as you're walking around.
All right, despite that, Boris tries to give her most confident captain walk and says, "All right, men, let's start rolling these barrels," and walks into the storage room.
So, I just want to okay, hold on. Just make sure that I'm clear, okay? Just one more time. You guys are rolling a bunch of barrels of, is it rum and gunpowder into Quinn's room?
That's what I would say that Jarrell and Zero were handling.
Same barrel, but yeah.
What's that? Not in the same barrel, no, but barrels of both gunpowder.
Oh yeah.
And rum.
The most volatile items on the ship are definitely going in Quinn's room. What could go wrong?
And then you're going to try to train the dragons, not in the emptied out storeroom, but in Quinn's room.
No, I thought it was going to be the emptied out storeroom.
I thought that was the purpose of emptying the storeroom, yeah.
Okay, good. Just making sure, because I was like, what the fuck? Because like, at one point I heard arguments that you guys were going to use these barrels of things as your shields.
Well, that was one of the ideas. That if
so I'm
they
just
were
making sure
to...
I'm not getting my wires crossed here. Okay. So
no.
This is to clear that smaller storage area on the top of the deck, like at the bow of the ship.
Yeah, like we are making a good faith effort to avoid some sort of disaster here, which for us is it's steps.
Okay.
We're trying to make a dragon training room, essentially. Yes, a safe dragon training zone.
Well, as far as I'm concerned, they're ice dragons, right? So if they're just freezing the hull...
That was Jarrell's... So Jarrell and Zero would certainly be taking an inventory of this storeroom. How many kegs of gunpowder are in the storeroom? How many are rum? How many are other things?
You have about 10 crates in here that are filled with a bunch of different things, like salted meats and things like that, like anything that's going to keep for a long journey, like foodstuffs that are being stored here. You also have a few barrels of rum, a few barrels of a bunch of barrels of fresh water, and looks like just actually only 2 barrels of gunpowder up here. The remainders you would believe are below decks. It just looks like maybe they ran out of storage space and stuck a couple gunpowder barrels up here too.
So in discussion with Zero, Jarrell would say, I think we should move the water and the gunpowder for certain. How much room do you feel like these dragons could use, at least for a temporary housing situation?
Well, fact of the matter is, I can make one of them invisible boxes once every, 8 to 10 hours. If you need a training space, you can have 1 hour in a force cage.
I will say that, mind you, this is the same day.
Yeah, no, I'm just saying.
That was also one thing I wanted to
sleep.
Yeah, this is the same day.
If the captain can keep it up for a few days, we at least have 2 good hours in a force cage.
Yeah. Well,
to contain some sort of activity. It's like a 20-foot by 20-foot with the amplifier. So
I feel like the hazard is going to be more ever present, and while a force cage is going to be nice, it's not going to give us the all-day sort of protection we need, as opposed to moving the most volatile items from this room. And probably water, I agree that could go poorly.
Sorry, my head's just kind of all over the place. I just spent the past few hours with a bunch of scientists standing in place. It was not enjoyable. So I'm just a little,
Oh, hang on to that force cage. If things go sideways, we might be able to buy ourselves some vital time.
Yeah, if they become aggressive or something like that and just start trying to destroy the ship, that would be a good time to utilize that. But in terms of just like getting them acclimated, making sure that they don't like see us as enemies, trying to get on their good side.
Yeah, no, I can create that with bars. So at least you'd be able to talk or cast a spell or something between it. Or I can just put them in a soundproof invisible box and they'll be docile for 1 hour, and then they'll probably be really pissed afterwards.
Oh yeah, they'll be. As I say, they're going to be real docile when you trap them in an invisible box.
Well, they could be in that box with Hans and be fine. It depends on what mood they really are. If they're just being playful and freezing things.
I was going to say, let's just cage your squire in with 2 dragons.
Oh, wherever they go, he's stuck with this. So this is his job now.
Yeah, at least he still has the feeling that he's, not trapped.
Right. And he can't be afraid while he's near me, so he's fine.
Oh my god. He cannot be frightened. He can still be concerned.
Just concerned. A little worried.
As I say, this is the new fucking dark vision thing. Like, you walk into a dark room, hey, I have dark vision. It's like, okay. Hey,
it's my...
Hey, this person is looking a little scared. No, they're not. They're within 10 feet of me. They can't be frightened. I'm sorry. Let me just wipe all the fear away from this person's face from a situation that would clearly be scary, even when you're with someone who is very inspiring.
You can be uncomfortable. You can be, there's all those different things. But in terms of actually being scared.
Can someone write me out the pros and like the summary of the concerned condition?
Like the synonyms.
We have conditions. Yeah, it's like frightened is a condition in the rule book, but we don't have one for concerned. So I'm gonna need a breakdown on that.
What about terrified? Can you escalate beyond afraid?
No, I don't think so.
Should Javril roll for resting bitch face?
So I feel like Jaral and Zero would first and foremost move the explosive kegs.
Yes.
And
I would
we
like
should
to
be
make
able
sure
to...
I know where the explosives are at all times.
Right. We should be able to move those just with our basic carrying.
As I say, you have plenty of strength in order to move those on your own without any real assistance. It's you're walking into the wind at this point, right? Because the wind's like pushing this into the sails, and you guys are walking towards the back of the ship.
Yeah.
But it's not that difficult. If Boris were to be trying to move barrels,
Boris is going to try to move some barrels.
You can't lift them on your own.
So Boris stretches out a pocket and stretches it over a barrel.
What's the okay? What type of barrel you're going to carry, and what is the weight limit on one of those pockets?
This is why I told Jarrell and Zero to get the explosives first.
500 pounds. It can't exceed. No, total.
Okay.
There's no limit per pocket. The objects themselves have to fit into 5-foot cubes.
Okay.
So if the barrels are bigger than 5-foot cubes, then they wouldn't fit. 500 pounds maximum can exceed a space of 64 cubic feet total. And it weighs 10 pounds regardless of the contents after the pocket's closed on my body.
Right. But I'm just curious. So what all do you have in your pockets right now? Because you shoved a bunch of stuff in them over the course.
Not that much anymore, because I got rid of all of the food stuff that I had put in them.
That's right. You have the sword in there, right?
In my pockets right now, I have a sword. I have a bunch of bubblegum cigars, like several boxes, so probably like a full cubic foot, maybe cubic foot and a half of bubblegum cigars. A fistful of dirty floor bacon. Is how I have that written. Everything else is in my regular, like, little
Yeah.
adventurer bag.
Next question. Do all of... I'm trying to remember. Because it essentially works like a bag of holding, except it's your armor. Do all of the items that are placed into the pockets share the same pocket dimension?
I don't know if it specifies.
Because you know how, like, a bag of holding, right? Like, they're all in the same, like, extra planar space. You know, you just reach in and you always, like, as soon as if you know what you're looking for or going to grab, you pull it out.
Yeah, it doesn't say.
Okay.
It says if you're about to put something into or take it out of a pocket, it morphs so that the pocket appears and then disappears. But it doesn't specify once it goes in if it's in its own individual pocket or if it goes
Perfect.
into the.
I just want to make sure
Yes, into the
I want to make sure that I have license to handle this however I wish. All
The
right.
description of it actually cuts off at the end, which I'd never noticed before.
Oh, nice. So here's the thing: you can have someone put a barrel into one of the pockets. I mean, the barrels weigh. Let's see, how much is like a barrel full of like water or rum weigh? I'm trying to think. Like, it's pretty heavy. It's like,
Probably quite a bit. How much weight is the barrel? Like, how big is the barrel?
they're like, I'm trying to think. They're probably about as tall as Boris. They're, you know what I mean? They're probably like 4
I'd probably
foot
only be able to-
barrels. So it's like, several gallons for sure.
It would be more than 5 cubic feet if it was a 4-foot tall barrel, probably, because the barrel's going to be more than a foot, like significantly more than a foot wide.
But I mean, it
Five-
occupies a
5
5-foot
cubic
cube.
feet?
It occupies a 5-foot cube. So
62
Oh, like a
pounds.
5 by 5 by 5. Okay.
62 pounds, according to Google.
there you go.
No, it's not as much as I thought.
So yeah, I mean, you would need some
Does-
help, but they could lift it right into your pocket.
Yeah,
Yes.
do I need help, or can I, kind of do the same thing I did with the orb? Just stretch the pocket out and sort of jump over the item and, like, snap it into my pocket.
You'd
Yeah,
have to probably
fucking
lift it off the
shit.
ground at some point.
Yeah, you'd have to like probably tip it over.
Because you got stuck on the orb. You'd probably
That's
get
true, I
stuck
do
on
too.
this, too.
Until it goes all the way into the pocket and then disappears, right? Yeah.
Yeah,
anyways.
so I mean, Boris would try it, despite having done this before, so I guess,
I mean, the
while
rest-
you guys are rolling the first couple barrels across, Boris is stuck hanging upside down by her pocket, wearing Captain Quinn's hat, just, like, hanging off the side of a barrel.
Oh god, yeah, I was gonna say it makes it extra difficult because you're wearing the hat.
I'm still wearing the hat.
I'm gonna say that while you're wearing the hat, it's probably actually physically impossible for you to do this without either ruining and like bending and fucking up the hat, or removing it in order to perform this action.
I'm not willing to do either of these things.
That's a good answer.
I'm struggling to try to put a barrel in my pocket while keeping the hat on. That's what I'm doing right now.
All right. I mean, the other two of you, like Jarrell and Zero, are the ones just picking up and loading things. Hedrick, what are you doing?
Hedrick would be assisting, but he's using his mage hand.
Which
Like,
can only lift
he's-
10 pounds anyways.
And he's kind of just dancing. He wants to entertain the sort of chain of command. As we are unloading and loading and kind of moving things along, he's just keeping everyone entertained while he carries one single keg or one single 10-pound item at a time.
Yeah, there's no 10-pound items. It's just crates and barrels. So like either you're helping with the heavy lifting, or you're not helping at all.
And
All right,
dance.
Just carrying a full of gunpowder at a time.
Yeah.
No,
Just
He's-
transporting the contents of the barrels 10 pounds at a time.
he needs one hand for the maraca, one hand on the crate, and then his mage hand is on the other side of the crate.
Dude, just
So-
give your
Oh,
mage hand the
God.
maraca. Let's say, just give your mage hand the maraca. It's the thing that weighs the least.
It looks way cooler when he's holding the giant crate with one hand, and the mage hand is just floating on the other side. So he's shaking it as he moves. It's all part of his rhythm.
Oh my god.
You
And
do
the
have to,
ma-
like, one-hand shoulder press at least 50 pounds.
You definitely have to roll for performance on this. Please make him do that.
Yeah. Yes.
Hedrick's no stranger to heavy lifting. Okay.
Speaking of heavy lifting, following that
20.
performance. Go ahead.
24.
24.
Oh.
It's a wonderful performance, but now let's see how your strength stacks up to the performance, and we'll combine these two for what it looks like. Strength. You are lifting things.
Is it athletics? Just strength.
Just strength.
Ooh. That's a 3.
I mean, you're able to lift these things because it is probably still. Well, okay, actually, what's your carry weight right now? Let's do this. Let's do it this way now.
How do I determine carry weight?
Should be listed on your
If you're,
sheet.
it should be on your sheet. If it's not, it's based on your strength, and I forgot. There's a table for it somewhere.
My strength is 10.
Oh, you know, it actually says here, you can push, drag, or lift a weight in pounds up to twice your carrying capacity. Or it's essentially, that's 30 times your strength score, because your carrying capacity is your strength score multiplied by 15.
I'm good to go, baby.
Yeah, you're
You
fine.
know-
You're straining a little bit because it's kind of awkward to do this with one arm.
Right. It's a huge barrel with one arm. No matter how you
Yeah.
do it, it's going to look a little wonky.
Yeah, and the mage hand is just kind of providing the back balance.
Okay.
I imagine you're taking
you're-
one of the things of rum.
You're straining it, but because your performance is so good, nobody notices that you're having a hard time.
I am mimicking my strain beneath the weight as part of my dance moves.
Yeah, and you're just, the expressions that any musician makes when they're just so into the music and performance that they're doing.
I like to dip real low. Right, so that I press out of it, right?
But you do, like, when you do set it down, you do let out an audible, you know. Just because you were doing that in a very ineffective way.
As
All right, so
Jarrell
it takes
is
you guys
coming
a few
back.
hours.
Well,
gonna say,
Jarrell was
if-
going to look for any crew members. Are there any crew members nearby?
No one is above decks except for the guy in the crow's nest and the helmsman, the first mate, and Jarrell. Or not Jarrell, and Quinn. But actually, the first mate is now below decks dealing with the crew, trying to figure out what the hell he's supposed to do about this dragon situation.
That's okay. I can send somebody up to get the explosives out of Quinn's room at some point. Jarrell would like to make sure to arrange the room so that the remaining crates make a slight barrier between the walls and where the dragons are going to stay. It doesn't have to be perfect.
And you're going to do it with the crates of food stuff, I'm assuming?
Yes.
Okay.
Whatever's remaining that isn't. I mean, we probably could have even kept one of the rums in here. A chilled rum probably isn't that bad. But the water, all the water, and all the explosives are definitely out of the room. Before I push Hans, or at least steer him into the area.
Into the storage room.
Mm-hmm.
And you were going to do like you said you're trying to barricade the door with this?
No, I'm not trying to barricade anybody in or out. I'm trying to make sure that because the dragons are going to stay with Hans in this room, and if they do, because they seemed relatively playful right after hatching, and then we could clearly tell they're able to breathe their frost breath immediately, almost, because they did that downstairs. I just want to make sure there's as many barrels as we can fit while giving them enough room, so that these barrels function as a perimeter around the room, so that if they were to breathe their breath, it would hit the barrel before the ship hull.
Okay.
That was Jarl's main plan number one.
Well, while Jarell is doing that, because that's probably taking a while, Boris is gonna get bored and play dress up in Quinn's closet, and find his fanciest captain's jacket, and then go looking for crew help to push around the barrels and the boxes.
Does Quinn really even have an extensive wardrobe packed away on this ship, or are you pretty much just do you have just a few outfits?
I would say that I have 3 or 4 different outfits. So I have my captaining outfit, which I'm currently wearing now. So that's an outfit that I necessarily wouldn't worry about getting dirty or soiled in any particular way or wet. And then I've got my captain's outfit, which is what I would go to.
You hear that? You hear the air quotes there, yeah.
Yeah, captains, right? So where I would be talking to certain royalty or
the dress
going
attire.
to certain events.
Your
Yeah, that's
appropriate
the one I
clothes.
take. That's
Right.
the one that Boris puts on.
Yeah, and that's what I'm not currently wearing, so that's probably what she's digging through right now.
Yeah. So
And
it's-
then I would say that I've got a third outfit that is more casual, but the word casual I use pretty loosely in the sense that it's still very formal.
it's
It is.
It's as I say. It's as I say. You said formal. Never mind. So it's not assless chaps with a codpiece.
No, that's the fourth outfit that I was going to remain hidden from conversation, but since you bring it up, that is what he wears privately in his abode.
Uh-huh.
You don't have pajamas. You just have that.
Assless chaps. Yep.
With
So-
a
Yeah,
codpiece.
so Boris
With a codpiece.
puts on the fancy captain's jacket and the
Do you find the cod piece?
I would say she
is the
pretends like she
codpiece
didn't.
separate from the assless chaps?
They're all hung up together.
It's detachable.
I was gonna say I just there was this one piece chap / codpiece situation.
Yeah, Boris puts on the captain's jacket and the captain's codpiece.
I mean, all of this stuff is way too large on you, anyways. So it's just
Right.
it's just hanging down.
and walks around the ship demanding people go help with the boxes.
Sleeve with just a sleeve.
Waving your sleeve around. Go do this.
As your captain, I demand you go move some gunpowder into my bedroom.
Is it? Am I thinking of Fievel, who has
Yeah.
the really
Yeah,
long
yeah,
sleeves? That's exactly what I'm picturing. Is you are a little bit larger Fievel.
And you still
Yeah.
have the comically large hat too.
Yes, which I'm still holding onto my head with the arm that's not flapping.
The crew members just start laughing. If you're going below decks to try to rally people to work, they're not going to actually take orders from you, but they are going to start laughing because you're wearing Quinn's private attire.
She is
Yeah,
still a
they are-
baroness. They might
Yeah.
eventually.
I mean, yeah, but I mean, on this ship, the only the captain's word, and and obviously the first mate and everything like that, that's who they get their orders from. So they're not going to break the chain of command just because Boris decided to play dress up, but they are jeering and laughing, and saying things about, oh, Captain Southwind's got some interesting tastes. Oh yeah,
And she's still wearing the cod piece.
Yeah, and they're just because they can clearly tell they're Quinn's clothes, and that she's because no one can mistake whose hat that is. You know what I mean? Because no one in the world has a hat that is that large, because it doesn't make any fucking sense why you would own that hat, unless your ego is
There is a sense of trust that a leader has with his team. And so just Quinn's mindset right now, I am excited for when I take a break.
Yeah, he's like, yeah, because right now you're just living your sea god dreams right now.
I'm thinking everybody's doing what they're supposed to be doing, and I don't think anybody's doing what they're supposed to be doing.
So you mean you managed to rouse a good amount of laughter from the crew, but then the first mate sees you wearing the captain's clothing and runs up to you, Boris, and says, "Oh, hey, yes, Boris. See you managed to find your way into the captain's quarters. Have you seen the dragons by any chance? I've been tasked with keeping tabs on them."
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they're way below deck right now.
I just checked out. Okay, I'm gonna go look. If you if you see Jarrell, could you send him my way?
Pretty sure he's down there with the dragons, but if I see him, I'll let you know.
Thank you. And he goes below decks.
Can I ask you?
Actually,
I have a question.
Make me a deception check, Boris. Now that I think about it. This is Dungeons and Dragons. We should be rolling.
21.
dice. Oh yeah, he believes you. All right, go ahead. What's your question?
I would just like to know what the first mate's name is.
Did I give him a name? I probably gave him some bullshit name just so like I write it off and forget about it. But now he's like actually having a prominent role. Did anyone write
Yeah,
down
I
his
feel like
name?
I should know what his name is as the captain. And
I feel
he's
like it
my
was
first
something.
mate.
I feel like I named him Jimmy John, but that might have been somebody else because again,
I'm sure I have it.
I did not write it down initially.
I should have it.
I mean, why would you, Quinn? It's just
Right. Well, but now I feel like I need to play off of it. So
When the unimportant NPCs suddenly gain importance.
become important. Yeah. Well, the fact that he's actually doing what I told him to do without even asking him to necessarily do that, I think is amazing.
You did ask him to do that.
Well, right, but he's actually taking it very seriously, and I love it.
You are the captain of the ship.
It
Listen,
wasn't.
I've been running around with people that don't take my advice, so it's a breath of fresh air that I have a crew member that actually does what I tell him to do. Meanwhile, they're all doing so much crap that I would obviously be opposed of, and I think it's hilarious.
You did call him Jimmy John. He's
It
a
was
halfling.
Jimmy John. Yep.
Okay.
He's a what? He's a halfling?
He's a halfling.
Perfect.
What a stupid ass name.
I think I did name him Jimmy John. Yeah,
Jimmy John.
so I was right. I was right. Okay, yeah, so it's Jimmy John. But it's like it's all one word. It's not like a hyphen or two names. It's just Jimmy John. All one word.
Call him JJ.
Yeah. First mate JJ also works.
After talking to JJ, Boris heads back up to let Jarl know that JJ is wandering around looking for the dragons.
How long does it take Jarrell to kind of arrange that perimeter?
It's gonna take you hours to move all this shit around and then arrange the perimeter. It's probably gonna take you about
How
2
big
hours
is this
to
room? I really don't think I'm grasping that.
This is a very large ship, so it's probably 25-30 feet square, or not square because it kind of peaks. So it's got like angled walls towards the front, but then it squares out. It's almost like a pentagon, but 1, 2, 3, 4, yeah, 5. But it's how when you draw the house, right, in the one motion, it's like that kind of shape.
Yeah.
It peaks at the front, but then it's boxy at the back.
So there were about 20 barrels total, right, to fit into that area. We moved out 10 at least, so there should be about 10 left. They're only 60 pounds each.
Yeah, you're gonna walk them from the front of the ship to the back of this ship. It's
Well,
it's we're talking about man hours here. You're working.
Right, but I don't think it would take him an hour.
Maybe
to
an
do
hour. Yeah, I'd
Yeah.
say
It wouldn't take me an hour to do that.
If Zero contributes to this effort, we can cut this down to about a half hour.
All right.
Yeah. And
Yeah,
that's
sure,
like the
that's-
total positioning too, right?
Okay, sure. Everything's arranged then. But it's been an hour,
Um,
and at this point, the first mate.
right.
Now you guys are all in the storage room,
Hmm.
and it's after about 30 minutes, the first mate comes above decks.
JJ.
JJ. Now you guys are all huddled in the storage room. Is anyone on the deck itself? Like outside?
Hedrick is.
Hedrick is. You see JJ come up from below decks, and he's like looking around. He sees like Quinn and the helmsman doing their thing, and he looks and he just sees you. So what? Yeah. What do you do when you see him?
I kind of flag him over, and I say, "What gives, man? You seem a little bit agitated."
The captain tasked me with trying to figure out how to deal with the dragons, and I've been looking all over the ship for them, and I couldn't find them or you guys. In fact, where have you been? What's going on?
Listen, I know you feel troubled. I know your mind is uneasy. You need to relax. Understand. You have the power of Valen and the smarts of the Omega Project backing this here mission. Now, I don't know about you. Well, that's about as good as what heaven and earth or heaven and what is this place called?
Telduria?
Yeah, but that's the continent. What's the planet? Do I call it? I can't call it Earth.
I don't think at
It's a
this point
planet.
anyone has even really ventured into space to even know what to name planets and things. So this is just,
Alright.
this plane of existence, if anything.
That's about as good as this realm can offer. And, well, I could play you a song if it'd make you feel better.
I just don't need the captain chewing me out. And if if something gets messed up, or if the ship is damaged, or if those dragons do something unpredictable, he just told me to deal with it. I don't even know the first thing about dealing with dragons. Like we have fought many sea battles. We have repelled pirates and other things, and other horrors and monsters at sea. That I can deal with. But live dragons aboard the ship, that's something new.
Does Jarrell hear them talking outside? Does he know that Hedrick's talking with someone outside?
It's kind of. I mean, the wind is strong enough
Um,
that it's probably hard to hear.
Yeah.
Well, friend, all I can say is you're in the best of hands. And
Hedrick is.
even though-
Hedrick's just sitting here, pretty much saying, "Don't fucking worry about it, dude. Just move along."
As if on cue, Zero would like to make an animal handling check to start training the dragons.
Okay, by start training the dragons, what are you starting to train the dragons to do?
Jarrell's helping, by the way.
I'm just looking to capitalize on the use of my mug and to get a reaction that could possibly conflict with what he's saying to the guy out there.
Yeah, so let's start with like basic things, right? Where it's like, okay,
Roll over.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead
Don't
and give me
bite
an
me.
animal handling.
At a whopping +0.
At advantage because I'm helping.
Horace is also helping. She's
Are
the bacon
you?
handler.
We have the
happen to
treats.
know
The treats are the reinforcement.
The
Our
only
young and hope.
the only person who I would say is qualified to help here is Hans.
Well, I mean, I've got bacon. I have a pocket full of bacon. I think I qualify to help.
Hans
Yeah,
is
I mean-
100% helping.
Okay, so my initial roll was a 7. With advantage, if I am deemed to have so, it would go up to a whopping 10.
That's fine. The dragons don't really respond well to your commands. They just want to eat the food that you're holding out in front of them. And they just keep following you around while you're holding these tasty, tasty morsels out and not actually doing anything you say. They're just following the food.
Yes, and he's carrying the food around, and he's kind of occasionally waving it by them as he talks about random things, about respond and stuff like that, acting like the biggest jackhole possible in the effort to train these dragons, but never actually giving them the food, and more just sort of leading them around the training area.
Eventually, one of them tries to move quickly and latches onto you, crawls up your back and onto your arm to try to snatch the food out of your hand and eat it.
Wahaha! There. And as he is holding up the piece of food, as high over his head as he can.
As the dragon's crawling up your arm?
Wobbling around.
Yeah. The other dragon that did not climb up is now angry and squealing and stuff like that. Let me just roll a perception. Nope. JJ cannot hear it over the howling of the wind.
Boris offers a piece of bacon to that one to try to appease it.
Yeah, it eats it immediately.
And wipes her greasy hand on the side of
reinforcing bad behavior.
This is going great so far, everybody.
And Jarrell is scolding Boris for again reinforcing the bad behavior, while Zero is trying to get this one to get off him without getting the piece. And yep, going great.
Also, just gonna say again, handed the piece of bacon to the dragon, wiped my hand on the side of the hat, and then continued to hold it.
It's gonna be covered in bacon grease.
Okay. Yep, so there's definitely at least a little bit of a mark on the hat. But nothing that can't be washed out.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, prestidigitation is an amazing spell.
Yeah, exactly. We'll clean the soiled surface. Just like that. Anyways. So yeah, training's going swimmingly. So then we cut back to Hedrick and JJ. And he just goes, just please don't break anything or mess anything up. I just can't have the captain reaming me out. I'm just going to try to keep everybody in line.
Trust me, there are bigger forces to worry about than the captain. We're out here to save a god. Okay? It's beyond any sort of naval hierarchy.
Now he's just fucking what's the word?
Blowing smoke up his
Here.
ass? I don't know. yeah.
I mean, not just because he's grandstanding. That's
Right.
the word. Gloating.
Well, it's like distraction by redirection. There, you know what I mean? Don't worry about what we're doing.
JJ just kind of walks away, kind of frustrated, and he sees that the door to the captain's quarters is still ajar.
I would like to say that
No, it's
at
a
this
door.
point, Jarrell is getting kind of frustrated with how poorly the training is going, thinking it was going to be easy. And
Yeah, just
walks
because
out.
you're right. You could just figure out how to train dragons overnight, right?
Yeah, Jarrell's super confident. Jarrell will walk out of the storage area and say, oh, the first bait. Oh, I could use your assistance for a second. Could you send at least 2 of your strongest men to get the powder kegs out of the captain's quarters?
You move the powder kegs in there? Why on earth
We
would you
seem
do
to-
that?
It was a suiting place for the time being. I'm slightly worried about it now, though. If you could have somebody move that for him, that would be wonderful. And then Jarrell will go back into training the dragon.
And he just like he's kind of like standing there, like like mouth open, like I can't.
Hedrick would slide over to the captain's quarters and just kind of set up post, lean against the wall, put his leg up, and play guard post for a few hours. Make sure he can watch the comings and the goings of the powder kegs.
Mhm.
And he's just lightly strumming, Captain Quinn will always win. There's not a hole he can't fit in.
No, my God. Jesus.
And the mighty wind blows. Like just crooning outside the captain's quarters, just making sure the
All you
door's
can,
closed.
Quinn,
Yeah.
all you can hear is like the faint sounds of like music, like underwater music, essentially, is what
Yeah.
it sounds like. Okay,
Yeah,
and we're gonna
I'm
reach.
feeling like I've if I've missed all of that, there's very little that I can hear at this point.
All right. So you guys, continue to try to like train. The powder kegs are moved out. No one else really comes and disturbs the captain's quarters for a while. Things are going about as well as they have been all day, where it's just like you're having a hard time really getting the dragons to listen to you. You thought at one point you got one to roll over, but it's only because it tripped over itself because it's still kind of like, getting its bearings. But, you're still putting that one in the win column for today.
Well, can Jarrell try one more time? Because I want to use my advantage before.
You still haven't used it? Man, that's your
I
fault.
didn't use it. Oh, I can't
That's
try
your
to train it
fault.
one more time?
Dude, your rolls that you give me are your best effort for the day, is what I'm saying. It's like for that attempt, for that situation, that
Okay.
represents your best effort.
I was hoping we would
So-
get past day one, but apparently we're not doing that.
No, we are not.
All right, well, that advantage is gone now. Damn.
We are, however, approaching nighttime now. You guys have been really plugging away for a good solid, probably 10 hours at sea. And Quinn, you're starting to, obviously feel the fatigue from just like operating like this for so long. So, now instead of pulling yourself out, abruptly, you are, kind of slowly slowing the ship down to, something manageable. And you can hear the first mate barking out orders to kind of like prep the ship for, essentially silent running.
So I'm kind of like I'm out of the power coma now.
Yeah, you feel
Okay.
like absolutely exhausted.
First mate, Jiffy Joe, come here.
He knows who you're referencing and pauses from his, barking of orders to come up to you. Yes, Captain.
Make sure that my quarters are ready for me. I am very exhausted.
Right away, Captain. And he goes down and he, enters into the quarters and he sees that there's still a whole bunch of stuff in here. Right? The only things that were moved out were the powder kegs because that's all he was instructed to move out. And so there's a bunch of barrels of rum in here. There's, some, and it's actually probably all you really put in here, right? Because you guys used the
Water.
crates.
The
And some
the
water,
rum.
right? So it's kind of stacked up in here, and he sees there is a clear path to the bed. And he looks at Hedrick, who's probably still sitting there,
Mhm.
and is gonna look at you and be like, "You're explaining this to him, not me." And he stands at the door with you while he waits for the captain to descend.
Hey there, Captain.
Oh, did I descend?
I'm saying. I said while he waits for the captain to descend. This is it's up to Quinn on how he
Sure.
chooses to approach
Oh,
you.
yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I would say I give it a good 10 to 15 minutes, and then I kind of wonder where he's gone to. So I make my way down to the quarters.
Mm-hmm. And you see that JJ and Hedrick are both standing there. And JJ just looks at you. Captain, your friend, I think, owes you an explanation for you to take a look inside. And you can see that your room is like filled with like barrels full of rum and water, and like they just like have stacked a bunch of shit haphazardly in here. Like the serene sort of, place that your room once was is now a disheveled mess. Your outfits are all over the floor. I'm not sure if Boris even put the clothes back in there.
Yeah, I think so. What is this calamity?
I've been working my ass off for the last 10 hours and I come home to this shit.
I mean, to be fair for Quinn, right? He is usually a lazy fuck. So the fact that he has been actually doing his part and doing what he needed to be doing, yeah, he's boiling right now.
Now,
Boris chooses this exact opportunity to stroll up, seeing the first mate, and says, "Jiminy Jonathan, just who I was looking for," in her best Quinn impression.
Still wearing your clothes, by the way.
Still holding the hat on, flapping her arm in the giant oversized coat, codpiece flapping in the wind. Like smacking her in the knees.
I think he's just too exhausted to even like react. Like the amount of anger and energy it's going to take him to even react to this would probably just push him over the edge anyway. He looks at Hedrick and he just says, "Nobody disturbs me," and he slams the door.
Now, Captain, please.
He slammed the door in your face. So are you have like your head pressed against the door?
I have my hand on the door. I'm pleading to the door at this point. Captain, I'll sing your praise. I'll sing it louder. I'm sorry we filled your quarters with black powder. And I gotta be honest, please don't be mad. Boris came in there, well, she stole your hat. And, well, we just had to make do. We got these dragons. I mean, we only had the rum and, the rest of the barrels there, so we just had to move it over.
Boris
please
kept
don't
your
be
hat
mad.
safe. I'd just like to correct that.
So Quinn reopens the door and just looks at Boris and takes the hat off her head. And then walks back in and shuts the door.
Captain.
Boris is holding both arms towards the hat with just both sleeves hanging like 6 inches over her hands. No!
Boris,
I would say I'd say that I'd like to end it on that beat, but that's not my style.
No. I'm also. Is there some sort of tap in here of some sort that I can like open one of these barrels of rum? Because I've had a rough day.
You have Daddy's dagger, and you could just pry one of the lids open.
I do have Daddy's dagger. That's true.
And you have your flask.
So I do. And I definitely fill that thing.
Mm-hmm. So while Quinn is drinking away the day, you can hear a cry out from the crow's nest. Like all eyes port side. And from the horizon, you can kind of see like little dots of light begin to slowly appear.
what color's the light?
Hard to say. It's definitely like got like a whitish hue. It's not like yellow or orange or anything like that. It's definitely got like a whitish hue. It's got maybe some kind of tint, but it's very faint. It's like just these little dots on the horizon.
Faint whitish hue.
Oh my god.
Blue tint.
Guys, you suppose somebody's tailing us?
Am I there? I'm
No.
also with them, right?
You're inside.
I'm still on my. Okay. All right. Cool.
I mean,
You're
you
in
would.
a barrel from.
I mean, you would have heard the cry. It's up to you whether you know.
I think I would as captain. Like I'd be annoyed by it, but I definitely want to be
It's
there.
like you just like you just got comfortable, like you just filled your flask up. You're like sitting on your bed. You're about
in
to
his
take a sip,
chaps.
and then you hear the cry from the decks. And you have to like get your ass back up, exit, and and you see the same thing. These lights on the horizon.
Because I mean, Jilly Jack couldn't even like do what I asked him to do.
I like how you're still messing up his name. You're the best.
So.
Oh my god.
So yeah, he does it himself. He reluctantly goes back up to port side.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and again, you can see the same thing that everyone else is seeing. Just like a few dots of light starting to like appear on the horizon, and every few minutes or so, another one lights up. It's far off in the distance, very far in the distance, but
Seems odd we're being trailed if we were going as fast as we were going.
yeah, I guess we'll have to figure out what those strange lights are next week
Oh.
on the Hapless Heroes podcast. But hey, don't fret. If you can't get enough of this show, if you don't want to wait another week to hear what the cast has to say about this situation, you can find us on the internet. We're on such places as Twitter and Instagram at Hapless Heroes, and Facebook and Reddit. Just look for Hapless Heroes Podcast. Those, though, will have either sticky posts or notes in our description that have a link for our Discord server, which is what we consider to be the crown jewel of our internet presence, where we hang out most of the time and chat with our wonderful growing audience and awesome little community in there. It's just a cool, awesome place to hang out. Come join us, talk about the show or whatever else you want to talk about. But if you really like us, you can leave us a 5-star review on the podcast service of your choice. Say some kind words to us. It really just, helps keep the wind in our sails. Or you just email us at haplessheroes@gmail.com. We'll say some kind words right back to you right here on the air. But if you really, really like us, you can you can donate to our Patreon. It's just patreon.com/haplessheroes. We have a variety of reward tiers. It's everything from shiny Discord roles to access to bloopers, behind the scenes audio to, we've had people submit story arcs, at certain donation tiers. We've done a lot, and we keep trying to do as much as we can. We had hosted some game nights through the quarantine for some of our Patreon donors. Probably going to try to schedule another one those again soon, because it's been a blast the last 2 we did. So just keep your eyes and ears open, and all that money goes right back into making this show the thing that you love to listen to. So we really appreciate it.
And if you love us, like really love us, Sally Field and the whole deal, you are going to go teach yourself to play disc golf. And you're going to get really good at it. Like absolutely incredible at aiming these discs. And you're going to find the biggest field you can find and get yourself a massive package of disc golf discs, and you're going to spell out "Listen to the Hapless Heroes" by throwing each individual disc.
Damn.
In the Sally Field?
In the Sally Field.
Ooh, that's meta.
So much happening there.
It was a whole deal.
Wow. Well, I guess something
Still
left for me to
doable,
do
though.
besides
Definitely doable.
outro. Doable? Yeah,
Doable.
that's
Totally.
that's fucking hard.
That's some precision disc golf.
That's,
We didn't
you're
say it should
gonna
be
get really
easy. We
good.
just said it should be doable.
All right, well, if any of the disc golf pros are listening to this right now, you better accept this challenge. Anyways, I'm going to go ahead and outro this lovely cast, starting my virtual left this time with Dave as Zero Valen's Avatar of War.
Good evening.
Mike as Lord and Captain Quinn Southwind.
I just want a drink. Can this please be something simple?
Nicole as Boris the Butcher.
I don't know who Boris is. I am clearly the captain right now.
Phil as Hedrick the Entertainer.
This has been a really good day.
And John as Lord Jarrell the Light.
Until next time.
We'll see you next time. I'm Francesco, been your host and DM. Bye-bye now.
Goodbye.
Bye.
Bye.